All right. Let's get this show on the road, gentlemen, as we preview 3 races from Monmouth Park, including the Haskell. And the Haskell is actually going to be our bonus race that we're going to provide for everybody for free. So this is going to be the first race that we're going to handicap. That's going to be race 12. Then we're also going to do races 9 and 11 at Monmouth Park. That's going to be on our Patreon page at patreon.com/PrimeSN. So you can check us out over there. Again, minimum $5 a month. And you get 8 races a month to handicap with Jon Hardoon and Chad Summers as well. Chad has been joining us the last few weeks. You look pretty comfortable, Chad.
I'm just enjoying the rain of Saratoga, getting ready to head to New Jersey on Saturday.
And the Oaks is at Saratoga today, correct? Saturday, correct? The American Oaks?
Yeah, 5-horse field.
5-horse field. Tremendous.
Used to be a Naira staple.
What's that? Oh, I get it. Okay.
5-horse field.
And Del Mar, that meet just started?
Then tomorrow it starts.
Okay. And so the San Clemente is on Saturday.
San Clemente.
What, they got 5 in that field too?
I didn't look yet.
Probably. All right. So, by the way, Chad's going to return on Monday as we are going to wrap up some of these Breeders' Cup Challenge Series races, including one at Royal Ascot, which is going to be on Saturday, the King George and Queen Elizabeth race. So we'll talk more.
That one's a big one. That one's 6 horses. That's a big one.
Oh, so you the 6 horses in that one as well. So even the races overseas have big fields.
Yeah, big rider change in there. James Doyle takes over riding Mistress for the first time.
Okay.
Wow.
So we'll wrap that up and take a look at the winner and get your analysis on Monday's show. So let's get right to it. Again, we're going to start first with our bonus race this week. It's the biggest race of the weekend. It's the Grade 1 Haskell, 1 1/8. This should go off about 5:45, and this will probably, I guess this will get network coverage.
It's on CNBC.
Oh, it won't, I guess. So it's gonna be the sister coverage.
CNBC.
Okay.
CNBC.
That's who's covering the Haskell?
CNBC. You know why? Because of the stallion making race. That's a business decision on CNBC.
Okay.
Cyberknife is back on the show. We haven't talked about Cyberknife since the Kentucky Derby. After that, Cyberknife, and of course, Cyberknife in the Kentucky Derby, you know what happened there. And he got caught up in that pace, but rebounded with the 6 in the Grade 3 win last time out at Churchill, John. So Cyberknife, is there any reason why we should still not be hot on Cyberknife?
No reason whatsoever. He's getting, just draw a line through the Derby race. By the way, the Derby's turning out to be a key race because a lot of horses that finished up the track on Derby Day all came back and won. Mo Donegal came back and won. Tawny Port came back and won. Chad, how many came out of there and won? A lot, right?
Classic Causeway came back and won on the turf. Weta Barrio came back and ran second. I mean, it was a loaded race. The only one I think that didn't come back, Epicenter came back and ran second. The only one who hasn't run well out of that race is Rich Strike.
Right,
there you go.
Winner didn't come back, and he'll never win another race probably, but certainly not a graded stake anyway, not anytime soon. Anyway, Cyberknife certainly eligible to run the 6, possibly make a forward move.
Chad?
Look, I mean, nobody's training better going into this race than him, and he just needs to replicate that form. We've been waiting for that performance that we know he's capable of. And he's shown glimpses of it. He showed glimpses in an allowance race at Fairgrounds, just missing the track record. I showed glimpses of it in the Arkansas Derby where he beat Kentucky Oaks winner Secret Oath. Came back and the race came back quick in the Matt win. And so when you're watching it, maybe visually it wasn't so impressive, but the race came back quick. I think he needed the race. Got a little freshening after the Derby. He wasn't maybe 100% cranked up for the Matt win, with the Haskell always being his target. Owner Al Gold has gone to 50 Haskells. He's never had a runner in the race. You know, nobody's more excited about running the Haskell than owner Al Gold, and this has been the plan from basically the time he was purchased, was to run in the Haskell. It would mean more to owner Al Gold to win the Haskell, I think, than win the Kentucky Derby. And so with that being said, hopefully he's ready to go on Saturday.
You're not buying that, John?
I think you would rather win the Derby personally, but it's a close second. There's no question about it. But the best part about it is he's 6-1. You know, that's the good news. If you really may get somewhat of a price. He may be second or third choice, which is
also it is worth mentioning, guys. If you go to Monmouth on Saturday, okay, this is only on track, but if you go to Monmouth on Saturday, they do have fixed odds. This is something we haven't talked about on the show before. Monmouth is the first track in America to try this, and you can actually get Cyberknife. You can bet him right now and be locked in at 7-1 odds. I think some of the other horses are different prices. There's one horse that's 100-1, two horses that are 100-1 fixed odds right now. But
and you think that would be a good idea? You think his odds are going to drop?
I mean, I think he'll be close. He might end up going off at 5-1 or 9-2, but
still, that's a good idea.
It's one of those things where, you know, the fixed odds thing, I think, is a very, very unique thing. And for Sheets players, and Jonathan, you can comment about this better than anyone. You know, when the Sheets first came out, you know, they made the numbers, and horses that were 15-1, they were rewarded for doing the work. Now, so all the wise guys get the Sheets, and a 15-1 shot ends up going off at 3-1. Here, if you like one that's 15-1 morning line, you can bet it early, and you can be locked in at the odds that you want.
I would lock in at 7-1. I think that's a good move. I do. I think if you can lock, the question is, how much are they going to take? Do they limit you to $100 or $200?
I don't believe there's a limit. I'm not sure. We'll find out more on Saturday, and we'll report it back on Monday. But I'm interested to see this fixed odds. I haven't really been paying a lot of attention to Monmouth Park, but you know, I'm interested to see how it works out on Saturday.
So let me make sure I understand this. So you believe that Cyberknife, because he ran a 6 his last time out at the Matt win, you're saying that you don't think that was really his best effort so far this year?
Well, he hasn't done anything wrong. Listen, he would have to run better than, it's going to take better than a 6 to win on Saturday, because you have other horses in the race that can run the 6. And the next horse up, Tiber, in my opinion, is probably the horse to beat. I don't like Jack Christopher. Tiber's the horse that I would be afraid of. Bob Baffert's won 9 Haskells, and he gets to go there, and he's the king there, you know, and they love him there and everything else. And this horse is back in Baffert's care. So that's the horse I'm worried about. That's the horse we have to beat.
Yeah, I mean, so Taiba 7-6 the first 2 races. The 6 was in the Santa Anita Derby. Forget the Kentucky Derby, because we know what happened there. So there you go. I mean, and it's only his 4th race coming up.
Right. So to me, this is the horse to beat. He also happens to be out a gun runner, by the way, the same father that Cyberknife has, and it's Baffert. So you always got to respect it and be concerned.
Ed?
I mean, look, the thing with Taiba, certainly, you know, those first 2 races were very fast, but you know, we were against him in the Derby, and he hasn't run since the Derby, so there's no reason for me to now hop aboard the Taiba bandwagon just because he ran awful in the Derby. I understand everybody's come back and run well from the Derby, and the Derby's taken with a grain of salt this year. But, look, that was the first time the horse left California. He had to get on a plane, come travel across the country, and he didn't show up. So now he's doing the same thing, getting on a plane, coming across the country. And, look, he's never been a very, very flashy workhorse. He wasn't in the morning time before he ran or before the Santa Anita Derby, so maybe it's taken with a grain of salt. But he works with some awful horses of Bob Baffert. He works with some of the worst horses in the Bob Baffert barn, and he struggles to put them away. You have to ride him hard to finish up. He's not a typical Bob Baffert horse. And the horses that Bob Baffert has won the Haskell with in years past has been his best horse. And I just don't see Taiba, despite the hoopla and the hype, as a typical Bob Baffert, American Pharaoh, point given like horse. He equated him to Silver Charm the other day, which I thought was really interesting, because Silver Charm is not one that gets the Baffert lover juices flowing. So I thought it was very interesting that he compared Taiba to Silver Charm. I don't think he's the super sexy horse. I think he needs the lead or needs to be up close to it. And there's a lot of speed in this race. I think Cyberknife's a little bit more mature and is able to stalk and sit the trip, where I think Taiba needs to be more forwardly placed. I know he stalked in the Santa Anita Derby, but that was kind of a weird race. It was a two-horse race from Jump Street. This is a completely different race. He's light on experience, and I'm against Taiba in this spot.
Okay. And by the way, Baffert, this is what? He could race. Where can he race?
Everywhere but New York, but it's okay because Pinehurst is here. He's running in the name of Bob Terranova in Amsterdam. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Okay. The 3 is too slow, correct?
The 3, yeah, the 3 has no shot. He's 100 to 1 in the fixed odds, by the way. So if you like him, bet him in the fixed odds. You're getting 100 to 1.
All right, now the 4, this is a horse to keep an eye on because you got 10 to 1. By the way, Howling Time lost by a nose last time out to Cyberknife in that race. The 4 races this year, Howling Time has gone from 24, 21, then 11, then 8. So the trend is almost perfect. And you're getting 10 to 1, John.
Yeah, but he's going to react off of that race, I think. The 8 to him is a top. He was inside that day, inside of Cyberknife the whole race, when inside was a place to be. You know, he's 10 to 1. I don't think he could beat Cyberknife. He didn't beat him last time, even though Cyberknife only beat him in nose. I don't particularly like him.
Chad?
John, I have a question for you about the sheets. So Greg reads out the sheet numbers there, and you see the two big numbers, and you say, okay, is he coming into form, or is this a horse who loves Churchill Downs? And this is a kind of an unknown. I don't read the sheets as well as you. Do you have to look at them? When you're looking at the sheet numbers, are you breaking down the sheet number to the track, to the distance? Is it just the overall trend of the numbers? What are you looking for when you're looking at those sheet numbers?
Well, one thing you can say for sure about this particular horse, he has 4 races at Churchill, and those were the 4 best races of his career. 2 of them as a 2-year-old, and his last 2 races as a 3-year-old. The races prior to that at Keelan, Gulfstream, they were terrible. They were awful. So maybe you're right. Hopefully he is a Churchill Downs horse. That'll, and you could certainly read it like that, Chad.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, though, that, like you said, I think it's if you really like the horse, then that's definitely a warning sign. But it's one of those things that you're not going to know until after the race. And then once the race is over, then you go, all right, now I know he's got another 18 away from Churchill. Forget it. Now I'm not taking that horse unless he's at Churchill.
Yeah, but also the 2 bad races this year, one at Gulfstream, one at Keelan. If one of those races were bad and it was at a different track, fine. You could say he didn't like the track, but he didn't like either one of those tracks. Therefore, I'm more inclined to go Chad's route and say that maybe he loves Churchill, and that's a great point he made.
Maybe he can be in a match race with Rich Strike.
Right.
The 5 is another horse that shouldn't even be here, King of Hollywood.
Correct.
The 6 is White Barrio. And White Barrio, that was a big name around Kentucky Derby time because White Barrio won the Florida Derby. And then another disappointment, like a lot of other horses in the Kentucky Derby. Sheet-wise, you got 8, 8, then 19 in the Derby. So let's take that 19 out of the way. So you got 8 and 8, and then a 10. Those are the 3 races this year, except for the Kentucky Derby, John. Rosario on board for the first time.
Yeah, well, the last race should have been 10, better than a 10. It was first-time Lasix for him. I would have liked him to go back to one of those 8s he ran earlier. And I don't particularly like him. I don't think he's going to run better than an 8, and I don't think an 8's going to be good enough, and he may even go backwards off of that. And you talk about horses for courses. Those 2 8s were both at Gulfstream. Last year, his big race, the 12, was at Gulfstream. Just like Howling Time may be Churchill horse, this may be a Gulfstream horse. Who knows? But I don't like him in this spot.
Chad?
I'm torn on this horse. I'm a little bit conflicted because I don't like the fact that he left Florida on Wednesday, okay? And you're in a van on a hot, sticky day for basically 24 hours to get to Monmouth, and you're going to run 3 days later where it's going to be hot and sticky by the shore over there at Monmouth. However, from a standpoint of analyzing the race, there's a lot of speed in the race, and he can come off of it. So for that reason, if he were to take the trip well, and unfortunately, you know, we're previewing this race, it's 2 days out, and I can't give you an accurate description on how he looks the day of the race. But this is one that I would look at closely in the post parade if you're watching CNBC and you're seeing the ticker of all your stocks, and you sit there and say, does he look good or does he not look good? If he looks good, I do think this horse can pick up a piece, only because I think the race can fall apart if they go fast early, which I think they're just going to have to do.
You're right. The race could collapse and he could suck up, but I don't think he could win, but he could certainly hit the board.
Correct.
All right, next up is the favorite, Jack Christopher. And we finally get to see Jack Christopher, even though Jack Christopher ran in big races, but this is the first time, I believe, he's going up against some really big competition. The 3-2 on the morning line for Chad Brown's Jack Christopher, who ran a 4 last time out, which was actually last month. That was a 7-furlong race. Jack Christopher's never gone this distance before. You already said, John, you do not like Jack Christopher.
I don't like him for a few reasons. First of all, he's going to be the favorite. Second of all, well, I don't know. He may not be the favorite over Tyba, but it's going to be close. But he's 4 for 4, so he's going to certainly take a lot of money. His problem is he's never been this far. He's never been around 2 turns. He's not really bred to go long distance, to be honest with you. And he's coming off of a huge figure last time out. He has to react off of that. It's a 5-point new top. He doesn't have enough time from that race, and I think he's going to regress.
Chad?
This horse has looked awful in training. He's looked awful jogging. He's looked awful breezing. Last week, he breezed by himself. The 2 weeks before that, he breezed with Jose Ortiz in company and could not get past the company. They tried to sit him off horses. He could not pass him in the stretch. He would not pass him in the gallop out. Jose Ortiz says, well, that's just him, and he's a little lazy. In the afternoon, when the lights come out, the stars shine brightest, and maybe that's true. Look, there are horses that are like that. There are horses that aren't great workhorses. But this horse was working very well last year when he was a 2-year-old and he was undefeated. And this year, while he's undefeated and he's been brilliant, he's beaten nobody. I'm sorry. The horses in the Pate Mile were awful. They've come back and run. You talk about the Derby was, you know, who's come back and run well from there. Nobody's run well out of the Derby trial. Nobody at the Pate Mile. Nobody. And the race the other day in the Woody Stevens was a glorified workout. And I know he went fast, and I know he was brilliant, and everybody wants to proclaim him as the next Goat Zapper. Okay, he's not. Okay, if he wins, he's got the biggest heart in the world. But I just don't see it. And if he's getting leg weary late, this field with horses like Cyberknife is not where you want to get leg weary late. Because if you get leg weary late, they will come and get you.
And again, on top of that, the horse is 3-2 on the morning line.
All right. So?
All right, the last horse in the field is too slow, even though at least this horse started his career with 2 11s, 13 last time out, 3 wins out of 4. The last 2 races for Bonavengo were at Monmouth Park.
Yeah, he's got no chance. Well, you know, he doesn't belong with this field.
All right. Chad, do you agree with that?
I tried to buy him 3 months ago. The horse is actually fast, okay? And I think just because of the connections, maybe he's ridden off a little bit. Somebody does have to complete the trifecta, and I think this horse can complete the trifecta.
Okay. So what are your picks, John?
I like the 1 Cyberknife over the 2 and 6. Over Tyba and over White Barrio, I'm betting against the 7.
Chad?
I'm going to play against Tyba and Jack Christopher and go with Cyberknife on top. I'll put White Barrio second and Ben Venego. I'd go with a 1, and then I'd play the 2 of them in second and third.
Okay, so that's 6 and
1 with
8.
1, yeah.
1 with
The
6 and 8. Okay, and I'm gonna gamble on that 4 to get into exacta with Cyberknife. 1 with what is that, 4? Yeah, 1 with the 4. Okay, let's move on now to the 2 races that are only going to be available to our patrons. Again, it's patreon.com/PrimeSN. So for everybody else, thanks for tuning in to this preview of the Haskell. And Chad and I will be back on Monday for another show as we recap all the big races from Saturday. And we'll also talk more about that poll that we wanted to do a couple of weeks ago. And then we requested everybody, and you can still do it because we already have some of the comments as far as what they would like us to, what kind of polls they would like for us to talk about. So if you still want to come up with a nice ranking, a top 10, a top 5 for Chad, just come up with something, and we'll talk about it on Monday's show.